Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about AEW All In 2023. We're going to be predicting the show, every match on this card. We're going to go in order of this on the right. That's where I'm going to talk to it. So if you guys want to skip around, there you go. But of course, these aren't just predictions. These are spoilers. So if you don't want to know how the show is going to go exactly, tune off of this video because I'm giving you everything you need to know right now. Before we do get started, I wanted to mention that I will be talking about Windham, Rotunda, and Terry Funk at the end of this video, so if you guys want to stick around to hear what I have to say about that, please do. I'm going to be sharing kind of what Windham especially means to me, just because he was a big part of my childhood growing up, and I just want to quickly say, rest in peace to both of those beautiful souls, man. Life is fragile, and appreciate everybody around you, and wrestling at the end of the day is an escape from the real world, and all of the problems that come with it, so let's escape for a little while and jump right into it. We're starting off with the AEW World Trios Championship match, the House of Black versus the Acclaimed. This is a late edition of the card that is probably going to leave me pretty disappointed, selfishly, because my faves are probably not going to win. There's so much untapped potential in the House just being absolute killers, if they would just move away from that spooky shit, but I doubt that they're going to get that chance. No way that after this couple month long build with Billy Gunn, his retirement and then the badass moniker's return, that they're not gonna give Acclaim the win here. And look, I'm absolutely fine with that. The Acclaimed are gonna get an insane pop. There's gonna be 80,000 people fucking scissoring in the crowd at Wembley Stadium. I just kind of wish that the House got more time with this, but I think it's over here. It does feel a little bit too soon to take the belts off those guys. I kind of feel like they have a lot more left in the tank when it comes to this run, but I just can't really picture that world. More than likely, the Acclaimed win and Billy Gunn gets his moment, and at the end of the day, that's honestly going to make it okay. Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. I know that people have been down on this match for Ospreay because they really wanted to see the Kenny match, and look, I would have wanted to see the Kenny match too. But if you don't know already, that's a New Japan match. It's going to happen in a New Japan ring, probably Wrestle Kingdom next year. But if it's not that, I don't think this is the worst thing we could have gotten for Big Billy Goat. During the G1 this year, if you haven't seen my G1 review, go check those videos out. He proved that he can absolutely get the best out of all these older veterans. I mean, just look at the Kenta and especially the Naito matches. Jericho himself also shows flashes that he can still go from time to time if he tries really hard, and why wouldn't he try really hard here? He can also work that New Japan style match really well, and I think this is the perfect kind of match to put on this card. I think it's going to stand out amongst the rest, and I'm just completely down for it. Even if Jericho is a step behind, I'm 100% convinced that Ospreay can have a good match, at least a 4-star with a bag of fucking rocks, so I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. I'm 100% sure that the crowd is going to go absolutely nuts for Will Ospreay, and honestly, if you're telling me that you're not excited to hear Elevated and Judas while watching, Jericho sing Judas, probably to the ring, which will be the funniest shit ever, but both those songs being sung by 80,000 people, I honestly think you've lost your mind. And if anything, that promo segment on Dynamite really sold me a ticket of excitement for this match, and I'm just really hyped to see what these two can do, especially Will Ospreay, because the G1, if I wasn't already a fan of Will Ospreay, that made me a big fan of Will Ospreay, and I'm just always excited to see one of his matches. But at the end of the day, I don't really think this is a tough one to predict. Ospreay's going over in front of his home country. It's about as easy as that. Next, we're going to talk about the coffin match, Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage, and I'd already written my prediction for this video, and then bam, it switched up just like that. If anyone is wondering how I feel about AR Fox being kicked out of this group, it just feels too quick. It feels so out of nowhere. It feels like so many people just don't like it. It's gotta mean something. I honestly can see him back with the Mogul Embassy pretty soon, if not here. And while I wish it would have stayed the same because I was really excited to see what that match was going to offer, I'm not going to be upset at Christian being on this card. I'm going to appreciate the guy because he's incredible, and it's just cool to see him here. This match is going to be fantastic, I have no doubts. Swerve is probably going to try and murder Darby, and Darby's going to sell it like he doesn't need to wrestle next week, which is going to be insanity. But probably even more insane is when Sting does one of his fuck that, I'm not too old to jump off of this really tall thing, fuck you spots, and the crowd is just going to lose it for that. I'm going to lose it for that. When it was AR Fox and Swerve in the match, I thought it was much tougher to predict because I thought, you could have given them the win to kind of cement the Mogul Embassy, but after this change, it seems pretty easy. Darby and Sting are going over. If anything, I have absolutely no doubts this is going to be pure excitement. Darby is crazy, Sting is crazy, Swerve and Christian are just going to be great in this role. I think they're both wonderful heels. If anything, at the end of the day, too, we can look back on this and say, fuck that WWE bullshit where they told Sting, this is what it's like, Sting. We can just say, fuck all of that noise. The match for the real World Championship, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. Personally, I feel like this match feels a little bit hollow because we've just seen it. But I'm still excited to see this big rivalry, this long-spanning rivalry, finally come to a close in front of 80,000 people. Both of these guys can absolutely still go. They've been wonderful in the ring as of late, and while I'm not sure it's going to hit the highs that people say, those 2005 encounters hit, I think both guys are going to give their absolute everything to try. I want this to be as dramatic as can be. I want it to be violent. I want it to be personal. I want to really feel the emotion between both of these competitors, and if they really do that, I think it can steal the entire show. It would be really cool to see Samoa Joe win that real world championship because he's Joe, and that would just be so cool to see him win a world title, even if it's a real world title, you know what I mean? But I think that CM Punk, that win can just be written down in Sharpie, man. CM Punk honestly needs this win going into the later half of the year, where I kind of expect him to face tonight's main event winner, but I have no doubt that this match is going to be really good. I think both guys are going to give it their all, like I said, and I just hope it's as dramatic as can be. I hope we're bated breath for every near fall, to be honest, but we'll see. CM Punk wins and retains his belt. Next match we're going to talk about, the AEW World Tag Team Championship match, FTR versus Young Bucks. This is probably the easiest match to put together on the card for Tony Khan, aside from that thug Cash Wheeler shenanigans that almost threw this match off course. But honestly, the story of these two teams does not need very much build. They just want to prove in this match, by winning it, that they're the best of a generation. FTR has been heating up again as of late with all these really good tag and trios matches they've been having on Collision. And with the Bucks moving back into the tag team division, that just automatically heats them up. So again, like I said, this was easy for TK. What won't be easy, however, is deciding who's going to win this match, because I can honestly see it going either way. I wouldn't mind for FTR to cement this roller coaster title reign with a win in the rubber match between two of the best tag teams of all time, probably. On the other hand, the Bucks kind of need something to spice them up right now, because for a while they've just been feeling really stale and kind of stuck in place, and maybe the belts are something that can get them going. This match excites me for many different reasons. I mean, just the thought of these two guys having a match, I think it could be an easy 5-star, easy match of the night. But something else that's just so incredibly exciting and is one of the best feelings going into a professional wrestling show is the feeling that I have no idea who's going to win. I don't really feel strongly or confidently going either way. But this is a prediction video, and I got to come through and I got to predict. So I'm going to go with the Young Bucks, but with a caveat. That caveat being that they turn heels shortly after Wembley, because like I said, they're very stale. They felt stuck in place. And I just feel like they need to switch it up. FTR have been doing some really great work on Collision, and I would honestly not mind at all of them winning this match. But I feel like with the Cash situation looming, it's real life, and I feel like that pressure, that overhead, it feels likely that they'll swap the belts here. And even then, I'm still not sure about that. I don't even know if that's a good enough reason for them to swap them. So I could see this going either way. I'm not going to ramble on and on about why, because I could talk about it forever. There's just so much history and so much, this match means so much for both teams' futures. But I'm going with the Bucks, and it's going to be a great moment for them. I'm going to be super excited as a fan of the Young Bucks. I'm definitely tuning in on Monday for Being the Elite for that moment. Next match, the AEW Women's World Championship. We're going to have Hikaru Shida versus Saraya versus Toni Storm versus Britt Baker. And honestly, it's real scary hours for this match, because TK might just do the dumbest shit ever, just because he simply doesn't give a fuck about this division, if we're being honest. I mean, let's just go one by one. I feel like you can pretty easily see Toni Storm winning the belt with this new character that I think has been really good. But I honestly think her winning the belt would be a bad idea. For Saraya, it would be so Tony Khan to give someone like her a moment in front of her home crowd, even though her home crowd probably doesn't even want that shit. Britt Baker, it might be even more of a Tony Khan decision to give Britt Baker the belt and this moment, because that man fucking loves the Doctor. Finally, Hikaru Shida. I hope that TK keeps this simple. I hope she retains and continues this run of just kind of stabilizing the women's division. When Shida won the belt over Toni Storm just like, I think a little over a month ago, it felt like a true reset on the division after what had happened with Jamie Hayter and just all the fan outcry, which I understand, and I was one of the people who was very openly against what they were doing with the division. But I think that was the right call, and why would you steer off course now? I just need this to not be very complicated. I hope this match gets a lot of time considering it's the only women's match on this card, which is also very upsetting, but that's for another video. Let Shida retain. Let her move past all these guys because I don't think it's their time. They've been involved in the scene way too much as of late, and it's time for them to just move on. I want Shida to face people like Riho, Yuka Sakazaki, maybe even Jade on her return. I just want Shida to go on a really good in-ring run. I just really hope that Shida gets her moment after not having fans for any of her reign during the pandemic. I hope that she gets to hear 80,000 people chant her name because that's just so cool and that's what this business is all about. So give me Hikaru Shida to retain. Next match, the Stadium Stampede. I didn't even list the competitors to the side because there's just too many of them. But we'll just go through them really quick. For anyone who doesn't know, the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, Mike Santana, he has a first name now, and Ortiz, versus Eddie Kingston, Penta El Cerro Miedo, Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, and of course your international champion, Orange Cassidy. But what a fucking insano match to book on this card. I can't see this being anything but pure insanity. I'm really sad that Rey Fenix had to be taken out of this match due to visa issues. That just sucks. It's so out of everyone's control. But honestly, the segment where they wrote him off on Dynamite gave this match a lot of much needed heat. But most of all, of course, if you've seen this channel, if you've seen the way I talk about this man, you know that I'm fucking hyped to see the Mad King come back to in-ring action for AEW after his incredible G1 run. He's just gonna shine here like he always does. That man is coming right back with a petrol. Now, see, we're not doing a gas can, we're doing a petrol can this time. And he's probably gonna light Moxley on fire or some shit. There's gonna be some moment in here where Eddie Kingston does some fucking crazy ass shit. I can only see myself loving every second of this match, as long as it's as creative as the past ones have been, and if they shoot it well, because with AEW production, you truly never know if it's gonna be dog shit, but they gotta have cameras all across this building, because I wanna see every second of the action. Give me just a 5-box screen. I want it on that level. This match really won't be about the winner, but I'm going to predict the BCC comes out on top because I think they just need the win more than the other side does. But like I said, this whole match isn't going to be focused on winning and losing. It's just going to be about the crazy shit that these 10 men decide that they're going to do, and it's going to be fucking sick. I have no doubt. Next up, the most discussed match on Twitter. Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and Kota Ibushi, the Golden Elite, will face Bullet Club Gold, which is Jay White and Juice Robinson, plus Don Callis family's own Konosuke Takeshita. Of course, we gotta start with how the timeline has reacted to this match. I don't think that anyone's completely wrong for feeling the way that they feel, but it's so completely blown out of proportion. Yeah, I too would have loved a Kenny Omega singles match, because of course I would. But like, you see this match on paper and like, how can you think for even just a second that this match isn't going to be pure fire? And look, this is why I'm saying that these people aren't wrong for the way that they feel. The build wasn't perfect. I would have enjoyed if they played up all the history, especially between Kenny tagging with Hangman and Ibushi, and, you know, Kota and Kenny's past with Jay White. It would have been cool to see them like talk about it and mention it just a bit more. But I do have a good feeling they're going to play off of all of it in this match itself. I think the one moment that I absolutely need is to see Kenny struggle to pick who he's going to hit like a big move with. Is he going to hit the last call with Hangman, or is he going to hit one of his moves with Ibushi? I got to see that moment. Another thing I really need to see is Konosuke Takeshita getting a lot of time in this match. I want there to be a good amount of focus on him, and Kenny especially, because I feel like that singles match is on the horizon like everyone's kind of been implying for All In. But more so, I just want to see Konosuke like be that true heel that he was meant to be, because the crowd was so ready to boo him, and they need to give us a reason to boo him here. Look, I'm just so excited for this match. I think it's going to be incredible. I mean, you just look at the talent that's in it, and not for a second can you think that it's going to be bad or even close to like mid. I have really high expectations for this. I think it's going to reach it, but give me the Golden Elite to come out on top because it just feels right to me. Maybe that's a silly way to kind of predict the show, but it just feels like they're going to win here. That's what I'm going with. This might have been my most anticipated match of the night because I love all the competitors in it. But our next match is going to give it a run for its money. We're lumping these two matches in together, but we're going to start with the match for the ROH World Tag Team Championships, Aussie Open versus Better Than You Bay, MJF and Adam Cole. And there's just so much that can happen here. It's so incredibly difficult to predict. I mean, do you give MJF and Adam Cole the belts to kind of throw off the scent of a heel turn after? Do you have one screw over the other here to set up the main event later on? Do you have Aussie Open win and pin one of these guys clean, like either the world champion or the guy who the crowd is supposed to think can become the world champion? I don't know. All of those scenarios to say, I think that Aussie Open is going to retain here, and our hearts are going to be pre-shattered, which is why I'm lumping both of these matches in together, because this whole thing kind of spoils the way that I see the storyline playing out in the main event. Starting with the 0 Hour match, I'm predicting that Roddy 22 and the Kingdom are going to screw MJF and Cole out of the belts just based on their promo on Dynamite. And in anger, I think that Cole is going to push Max away, and it's going to like kind of set up his heel turn later in the main. I mean, in the two sit-down promo segments with Renee Paquette, only one of those guys was rude to her, and that's honestly the worst thing that you can do. Does my prediction for Adam Cole turning heel make me think that he's going to win the belt through some nefarious tactics? No, I don't think so. In my opinion, I think that an Adam Cole heel turn works best if you do it after the match. Like, say MJF goes in for a hug and he just boots his fucking head off. I mean, that would just have so much heat behind it. Of course, MJF turning is also a real possibility, but I think that MJF just works too well in this current role that he's in right now. And if I were AEW, I wouldn't want to lose the love that the fans have for him going into like a CM Punk program that I think is on the horizon after this one. If I haven't been clear, I'm going to make it clear right now. I think that my prediction for the main event is going to be an honest and fair singles match between the two, that Maxwell Jacob Friedman is going to win, and then after the fact, our hearts are broken. This match to me is just like the FTR and the Bucks, and the feeling that it can go either way, and so I'm just so unsure of whatever decision that I decide to make. But that's what makes it so exciting, and that's why I think it's just a perfect main event. At the end of the day, I think that AEW All In 2023 is going to be an absolutely incredible show. This card is just so stacked, and there's so many matches that could go either way, really. It's just going to be incredible. I'm so excited to be a part of it and just see the visual of 80,000 people for an AEW show. It's just insane. And look, I'm probably going to be off, I know that, but it's really fun to sit here and talk about what I think's going to happen, storyline-wise and match-wise. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. If you have enjoyed this video, leave a like on it, comment down below your predictions, and subscribe if you love wrestling content. And like I said, I just want to get into Terry Funk and Windham Rotunda and just kind of say a few words about these two men. Again, I just wanted to take a few moments to talk about these two men who were incredible performers and, by all accounts, incredible people. I never knew much about Terry Funk. He was ahead of my time by a little bit, and I'm just only kind of recently getting into wrestling seriously. But after reading and hearing so many stories about him, I can so easily tell how much he meant to the business and just to all of his fans and all the people that supported his matches over the years. And I'm really excited to see what he's done throughout his career and just learn more about the man himself. And yeah, I want to be able to fully appreciate his legacy over time. But it's just so sad hearing stories about him and hearing how good of a person he was and how much he meant to so many people. To hear him pass was even hard for me, even though I didn't know him very well. Someone I knew a lot about was Bray Wyatt. When I first started getting into wrestling, he was a centerpiece of Raw, and I remember the storyline with Daniel Bryan being so crazy to me, and it was one of the first things I remember that kind of hooked me into this world. No matter what you thought of this man's work, whether or not you liked it or it was for you or anything like that, he always pushed the boundaries of pro wrestling, and nobody could ever deny all of the moments that he brought, some of the most iconic promos and characters and segments just in the history of the business to me. I remember when he came back to wrestling and when he cut that promo on SmackDown where he wasn't Bray Wyatt, he wasn't The Fiend, he was himself. He was Windham, Rotunda, and I remember just making sure I went and watched that because it just felt so real and it felt so from the heart, and that's just kind of a moment I'm never going to forget when it comes to Bray Wyatt or Wyndham Rotunda or The Fiend or whatever you know him as. He always found a way to connect with the audience. He found a way to connect with me when I was a kid, when I was just starting out, and I'm sure that's what he's going to be remembered for the most out of anything. The last thing I'm going to say is make sure to love the people around you. Make sure to cherish your family and your friends and stuff like that, and like don't ever forget to tell them you love them or do something nice for them. I wish all the best to the families and friends of both Terry Funk and Wyndham Rotunda. May they both rest in peace.